suppose we need to talk about vibe coding a little bit, the elephant in the software engineering shaped room. And it's this term coined by OpenAI co-founder Andrej Karpathy. And the idea is that you go full send on the generative AI, accept all the changes to your code, review nothing, and eventually merge it in, forgetting that the code even exists. And it's quite a chaotic technique, but it also feels like it's everywhere of late. And we've got developers reacting, some with excitement, others with a degree of panic. And I think it's always worth asking the question in these cases of, are we just gatekeeping when we express, some hesitation or doubt as to the power of this technique? And to me, it feels like we've kind of seen this before with, front page in the 1990s, enabling people to very quickly build websites, even if the code underneath was just a load of table tags that looked like crap. Or Excel macros that really grew to the scale where they should have really been an application. Or even these sprawling WordPress websites built using, PHP plugins that kind of long surpassed the ability to understand what's going on under the hood and really have confidence that what you're shipping is a secure application. All these were like tools that empowered people to build really fast, but also left behind a bit of a tangled mess sometimes. And that doesn't diminish the value that these tools had in rapidly prototyping and getting things to market. But it leads to kind of a similar end state, right? It's this like kludge of code that nobody really understands. And what's been happening in the sort of world of vibe coding that I think is kind of interesting is when you get beyond that point of a useful prototype and into trying to truly build a larger application that actually like really does something. First, what tends to happen is the LLM starts to lose the plot a bit. Because you run out of a thing called context window. The number of tokens that the LLM can actually handle is smaller than the size of your code base, and so it can't really remember what exactly it's written. What happened not long afterwards is that us as humans kind of lose context as well for what's been written, because there is a mode where we, continue to build this thing out and keep a loose eye on the structure and the code and figure out what's going on under the hood. But after a certain point of not actually writing what the output is, us as humans start to lose context as well, I think. And as AI develops, we can extend its memory, its context window capacity that keeps growing. But us as humans, there's not really a good hack to be able to grow that all too much more. So, fantastic tooling for rapid prototyping, but what happens if those prototypes end up in production, as they occasionally have of late? That's where things start to go a little awry. And we've seen examples of vibe-coded applications that have failed to do things like sanitize user inputs on the way to a database or to handle secrets properly. And so we wind up with these applications sitting in production with hard-coded API keys into the main entry point of the server, that type of thing. And screw-ups like this kind of tend to wind up with people losing all trust in your product, all trust in your company, that, some of these mistakes can be pretty egregious. So, feels like there's still the need for this human in the loop. I was interested to see lately that some of the latest winter batch of YC companies, up to 95% of their code base is coded by AI. Now, that's not to say that it's been full send vibe coded. That's a very different thing. That might mean that, a human has reviewed the output and determined that it is indeed a safe output that is doing intelligent things with inputs and keeping a mindful eye towards OWASP security standards and doing things sensibly. So what's interesting now is like, what does the future hold, right? Because this isn't going anywhere. And of course, context window sizes are going to continue to grow and grow. And what the models can build will continue to increase in capability. But I think there's kind of two schools of thought here, right? There's the world of we can fine tune and refine our way to a perfect model which no longer makes mistakes. And someday we will be able to vibe code our way to a guaranteed safe in production application. And then there's another school of thought, which I think I probably lean into a little more, albeit my crystal ball is no more reliable than the next person's, but this school of thought where the technology as it exists right now probably has a bit of a hard ceiling for the foreseeable future. And so we'll still have humans in the loop reviewing the outputs of AI generated code, even if these humans are a lot more productive.